So you are going to lay your fabric on the table after you iron it so all the creases are out. You need to line up the salvage edges. If you need a partner to help you, grab somebody to hold one end and flatten out the edges together. And you need to take note before we start as to what size that you think you're going to need for your pajama pants. So this pattern basically is one size. It's a unisex pattern, so small, medium, large, and extra large. And just remember for the girls that it's a men's small or medium. Okay, so now it's all nice and lined up. Pull it down to the edge. All right, and just also notice that this fabric, look at your fabric, this fabric is directional, so there's an up and a down. So the dogs are either going to be right side up or they're going to be upside down. So we want to make sure that we lay our pattern out so the dogs are facing the right way. Okay, so this is our pattern. We are using an adult pattern. You're going to open it up. And inside of an envelope that you get from the fabric store, there's going to be the pattern and the directions. We are going to open up the directions. Be really, really careful with these because they are made out of a very thin tracing paper and they like to rip. We're going to open them up. We are going to use piece number 1 and piece number 2. We're not going to do the drawstring, so we will not be using piece number 3. So if we look at the pattern, and if I see all the words right side up with the number 1, this is going to be the top of my pants. This is the waistband. So I need to make sure that I put this waistband so the dogs are facing in the right direction. So I'm going to lay 1 down. I'm going to lay number 2. I'm going to make sure that I can fit both their legs, and we're cutting out 2 pieces of each leg. Lay them out. Okay, now we have that. Now we need to make sure that these are properly aligned. You're going to look on the pattern, and there's a line running down the center, off center, of the pattern, and it's called the grain line. The grain line is in this direction, and there's usually an arrow on the ends. This pattern just has an arrow on one end. So basically, the grain line is the direction of the weave of the threads that make up the fabric. So this line has to be parallel with the salvage edge. So what I need to do is make this line parallel with the salvage edge. What I'll do is I will take a ruler, I will line it up along the edge of the salvage edge, and I will make sure that this blue line is running parallel with the salvage edge. So it's on the edge, and now my grain line is running even. I'm going to slide the ruler off to the side, and I'm going to pin 1. I'm holding this down nice and flat. 1, 2, 3. So I know the salvage edge is lined up with my grain line on pattern number 2, and now I have to do this for pattern number 1. Also make sure when you're putting we're going to make this pair in a size large. We need to notice that the sizes are marked on the pattern. Here's the small, here's the medium, here's the large, and the extra large. Make sure, we're going to do a size large, that the pattern is in the fabric area and not hanging over the edge, or then we'll be missing a part of the fabric. So I'll scooch it back. I'm going to look at my grain line again. I'm going to line up the edge of my ruler to the salvage edge and notice that my grain line is way off. So now I need to shift the pattern like this. So salvage edge, The blue line is parallel with the black line. I've got my large. This is my large line. Oh no, this is my large line. It's laying on the fabric, so it's positioned pretty well. I'm going to hold my pattern down. Make sure when you're pinning that there's no wrinkles in the pattern. Otherwise that will throw off when you cut, and it's like putting a puzzle together. So once you have your grain line pinned down, then what you're going to start doing is pinning around the outer edges. You'll start at one of the pins, hold your hand down, pull it towards you, and then you need to pin. This is going to be my size large. You need to pin parallel to the cut mark on the inside. Don't pin on the outside, you need to pin on the inside. So we're going to pin every 3 or 4 inches all the way around. Hold the pattern down. Keep this on the table. Pin while it's on the table. Try not to lift it up. Be careful not to rip the pattern. Hold it down. All sides. And make sure you pin down this little corner mark. You want to make sure you get that cut pretty precise. And don't pin over the line, because then you're going to hit the pin with the scissors. Pin here. I'm going to pin across the top. This is the waistband. So you're going to pin pattern number 1, and you'll pin pattern number 2. So I'm just going to show you pinning pattern number 1, and I'm going to start cutting pattern number 1. You're going to take your scissors and keep the scissors running along the edge of the table. You're going to take small little bites. Lift up and keep going. Little tiny bites. Cut the fabric right in this area of the scissors. It'll make for a better cut. And my pin is coming out, so let's put this back in. Okay, and I can just cut this piece off. And I'm going to start cutting along this this is my size large. Cut along this line. You have to cut straight along the lines. You're using scissors and not the rotary cutter for the pajama pins. And the smaller bites, the better control that you have of the scissors. So cut this off to make it easier. Alright, and watch where the line goes, that you follow the correct line, or your pajamas are not going to fit together. It's like a puzzle piece. Nice and slow. And it's important, like I said, to keep the scissors on the table while you're moving, so then the fabric won't shift. So you're going to keep your patterns on top of the fabric. The next thing we need to do is we need to cut your notches. So these little triangle pieces, and here, and here. So I like to just take the tips of my scissors and clip down. So from the center of the triangle from the bottom to the point. And if it doesn't go, don't go past the point. That will want a tiny bit, but don't go past the point. We use these notches so when we're putting all the legs together, we line up perfectly. Okay?